Here we're going to talk about probability, and probability is really just what's the chance of something happening. So the way that we write this formally is as a fraction. It's the number of successes over the number of possibilities. So the number of successes, what do we want to happen, also can be explained as a favorable outcome. So how many of favorable outcomes can occur over the number of possibilities? What are all the possibilities that can occur? And we add all of those up. So the answers that you're most often going to see when you're asked probability is that it will be left as a fraction, and often they will change it to fractions in lowest terms. So if you don't know how to write a fraction in lowest terms, you need to watch the video on Facebook that I have from June 15th of 2014. Also, they may change that fraction into a percentage. And so if you don't know how to change a fraction to a percentage, you need to watch that video from July 29th of 2014. So those are skills you need to be able to have to do these probability problems. So the most common way to explain probability is really just by using a dice. So everyone knows what a dice is. It has 6 different numbers on it, 1 through 6. So when you roll it, you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 6. So what is the probability that you will roll a 3? So you're going to roll the dice one time. What's the probability that you will roll a 3? Well, the number of successes, or our chance of getting what we want, there's only one number on that dice that's a 3. There's not 2 3s on it, or 3 3s on it. There's only one possibility or one success that we can have if we want to get a 3, because it's only on that dice one time. What's the number of possibilities? When we roll the dice, how many different numbers could we get? Well, we can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So there's 6 possibilities for what we could get when we roll the dice. So our probability of rolling a 3 is 1 over 6. That's the answer to that question, because there's only one 3 on it, so the number of successes is only 1, but there's 6 different possibilities that we could get when we roll that. So this is likely the answer that you will see. If they change it to a percentage, 1 divided by 6, 0.116 without repeating, and then you change that to a percentage by moving it over 2, we'll round that up, 16.7%. So again, if you don't know how to get from here to here, you need to watch the videos from July 29th, 2014 on how you can make a percentage from a fraction. Alright, so how about if they say, what's the probability of rolling a 2 or a 5? We want to roll a 2 or a 5. Well, our success, if we roll a 2, we're going to consider that a success, or if we roll a 5, we consider that a success. There's 1 2 and there's 1 5. So our number of successes is we have 2 possibilities of having a success. We can get a 2 or we can get a 5. The number of possibilities for what we roll, again, we can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So there's 6 possibilities. There's 6 different numbers that we could get, but if we get a 2 or a 5, we're going to have a success. So there's 2 numbers that we will consider successful. So we have 2 over 6. That's the probability. Most likely on the test, they would change this to lowest terms. If you don't know how to do that, watch the video from June 15th, 2014. Or they may put it as a percentage, which would be 33.3%. Let's do another problem. So now, let's not use a dice. We'll say that we have a bag of marbles. And we'll say we have 3 green, 2 red, and 5 blue marbles. So what's the probability of drawing a red marble? Well, we have 2 reds in there, so the number of successes, the number of reds we have is 2. how many total possibilities do we have? Well, there's 3 green, 2 red, and 5 blue. So there's a total of 10, 3 plus 2 plus 5, 10 possibilities when we draw a marble out. So it would be 2 over 10. That's the answer to the probability of drawing 1 red marble. Again, they're probably going to put this in lowest terms and possibly put it as a percentage. What's the probability of not drawing a red marble? So now we want to not draw a red marble. So really, how can we think about that? Well, that means we want to draw either a green or blue if we want to not draw a red. So what's our number of successes if we want to draw a green or a blue? Well, there's 3 greens and there's 5 blues. So the total number of successes would be 3 plus 5. So there's 8 marbles we can draw out of this bag and still be considered successful because we haven't drawn a red. What are the total number of possibilities? Well, there's still 10 marbles in the bag. So it's a total of 10 possibilities. Make that into lowest terms or as a decimal. Okay. Do another problem. Still the same bag of marbles here. Now let's say we take 2 green marbles out. Now what's the probability of drawing red? So we're going to take 2 green ones out. What's the probability of drawing a red one? Well, we still have 2 red marbles, so our number of successes is 2. What's the number of possibilities? Well, we took 2 green out, so we don't have 3 green anymore. We only have 1 green. So now we only have 1 plus 2 plus 5. We only have 8 total possibilities, not 10 anymore because we took 2 of them out. So now the probability is 2 over 8, which we put into lowest terms, which we can put into a percentage. Another common question will be, we'll go back to having 3 green. Is if you draw 2 times in a row. So let's say, what's the probability of drawing a green? You put it back in, and then drawing a blue. So when you're going to have two events happen one after another, the way that you do the probability is by multiplying them. So we first look at this one. What's the probability that we're going to draw a green? Well, again, there's 3 green, so our number of successes is 3. Our number of possibilities, there's 5. So the probability of drawing a green is 3/10. So we're going to take that green marble, we're going to put it back. Then we're going to draw a blue marble. Or what's the probability that we would draw a blue marble? Well, there's 5 of them in there, so the number of successes is 5. Because we put the green back, there's still 10. So the probability of drawing a blue is 5 over 10. So what's the probability of both of these things happening? That you're going to draw a green, put it back, and then draw a blue. The way you do that is you just multiply these two. So you find each of the probabilities independently, and then you multiply them. So the probability that both of these things are going to happen is 3/5 times 3/10 times 5/10 equals 15/100 or 15%. So this is when we put the green back. So let's say we don't put it back. So now the question is, we have this bag of marbles. What's the probability that we would draw a green one, not put the marble back, and then draw a blue one? So the probability that we would draw a green, again, 3/10 is the probability that we draw a green, and then that we would draw a blue one. Well, there's 5 blue, but remember, we took one of them out. We don't really know what color it was, but we know there's one less. So the number of possibilities is now there's only 9 marbles to draw from, not 10. So the probability that you draw a green, then draw a blue, again, you just find them independently, but then you multiply them together. 3 times 5, 10 times 9. And then you can make that into a percentage and round it up, 16.7%. So just remember, number of successes over number of possibilities. You're generally going to leave your answers as a fraction. And if you have 2 events happening in a row, you find them independently and then multiply them together. The only other thing I would say about this is sometimes they assume they do problems involving cards, a deck of cards, and so make sure that you're familiar with what goes into a deck of cards. So we'll do one more problem like that. So a deck of cards there's 52 cards in a deck of cards. There's 13 spades, 13 clubs. These are black cards. There's 13 hearts and 13 diamonds. These are red cards. So you might just get a question that says, we'll say 2 red queens are removed from the deck of cards. What's the probability a red card is drawn? So this may kind of seem complicated at first, but it's really not. So 2 red queens are removed. What's the probability a red card is drawn? Okay, so remember, in our red cards, normally there's 13 hearts, 13 diamonds, so normally there's 26 total red cards, but we've taken out 2 of them. So now there's only 24. So our number of successes that a red card is drawn, there's only 24 cards that are red that are left in the deck. What's the total number of possibilities? Well, normally there's 52 cards, but we took out 2 of them. So now there's only 50 cards. So it's 24 over 50. That's the probability that a red card is drawn after you take out 2 red queens. You may have to write this in lowest terms and then perhaps write it as a percentage. So if they give you something that you might think is complicated, just think about what they're asking. But it is important that you kind of understand what's involved in a card deck. Probability a red card is drawn. Well, how many red cards are there? And then what's the number of possibilities?